It's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. My name is Julia. I am currently a student at McGill University studying political science and environment. And for the last couple of months, I've been working on mapping out the decentralized energy value chain, really trying to uncover the unknown yet critical layers, business models, and stakeholders that are driving the shift in Canadian energy systems. Before I dive in, I would like to quickly say a big thank you to the entire decentralized energy team for engaging me on such critical work, as well as our funders, so NRCan, for investing and supporting the exploration of a decentralized energy future. Now, let's talk about mapping the value chain. When I first started the process, it literally seemed all over the map. As an admitted outsider who knew little about the industry, it looked to me, and perhaps some of you, like something straight out of Tokyo. Their subway system map. You might find yourself, like me, wondering where the network starts and where it ends, where the connections lead us, and which routes will get us there most efficiently. But this also told me that there is no single route from point A to point B. Certainly, some may be better than others, but the issue in the context of decentralized energy isn't looking for the right or wrong path, but rather it's about locking in on the destination and starting to map the best way of getting there. This leads to some big picture outcomes. It is extremely hard to map something that doesn't truly yet exist. Yes, there are stakeholders. Yes, there is a need. And yes, there has been a lot of research and discussion. But right now, industry, government, and consumers are not always aligned, and a clear leader has yet to emerge to effectively articulate the objective. Now, this is precisely where the opportunity for the value chain lies, linking together what now seem like disparate elements to help us navigate through a rapidly evolving energy landscape and understanding the different roles that stakeholders have in getting us there. So, in spearheading this project, we thought, what better way to learn about the changes in the industry than by asking industry experts themselves? This ended up being extremely valuable in understanding where we currently lie in the energy transition and where exactly we're going. In fact, these interviews allowed me to simplify the value chain without completely discounting its complexity. DE equals E to the power of N, where DE represents the decentralized energy future, E is energy, and N represents, much like it would in algebra, the number of elements specific to the problem. It conveys precisely what we heard in these interviews. We have more power, more people, and more places. In other words, we have more of everything when it comes to energy. And these interviews also showed me that our decentralized energy future is not a static construct that can be easily identified or organized. Rather, it is a amorphous thing that is dynamic and evolving, especially in context to the next generation. So in some ways, we can see this upcoming generation not necessarily as a revolution, but more so as an evolution, meaning that it should be less about companies vying to dominate the market and be more focused on coordinating efforts to meet growing demands for clean and reliable energy. This journey requires building on progress that is guided by a long-term vision that fosters collaboration and cooperation. And these interviews really told us that in the upcoming generation, there are 4 key stakeholder groups that will be fundamental in driving this change: consumers and prosumers, innovative and technological experts and providers, governments, all levels of government, policymakers and regulators, and utilities. And only by having these 4 stakeholder groups aligned around a common goal can we achieve energy that is affordable, reliable, efficient, and sustainable. So to reflect everything that I've said, here are some of the key paraphrases we heard throughout these interviews. We need more of a people-centric approach and signify the importance of a societal shift. So consumers were emphasized as single-handedly the most important stakeholder within the value chain. These are the people who need to see the benefits, they need to see the value, and they need to see the returns on their investments. So this signals to us that we need to simplify communication, provide greater levels of education and empowerment. And they also need to do this to not only understand the importance of an energy transition, but also their specific role within it. In the process of integrating this into our business framework, we must first understand consumers themselves and value their insights. This understanding paves the way for development that is not only guided by the industry, but is also aligned with the evolving needs and habits of consumers. It is as much about consumer choice as it is about the technological advancements that shape our future. I came to call this the DES developer's dilemma. It's not just an issue about what is possible, but more so what is acceptable and affordable and sustainable. The mainstream value chain really emphasizes the innovation and technological development, which are critical, but what ensures these technologies don't get stuck are the consumers who see the value and embrace the potential. At this moment, it's not about the competition, it's about being in the game and collaborating to get things done. This echoes exactly what I said before. A decentralized solution demands collaboration. To succeed in this evolving landscape, the different stakeholders, governments, consumers and prosumers, utilities, and technological providers need to collaborate rather than focus on competing. The government is still finding its place in the architecture of developing new infrastructure. This was another recurring theme. Governments, policymakers, and regulators at all levels play a critical role. And some interviewees emphasized them as enablers, while others noted them more as barriers. And what this dichotomy in perspectives really told me was that the government needs to be more of a proactive leader in embracing their role as strong enablers and defining the playing field, stimulating activity, and using their leverage, including financing and incentives, and deliver consistent support. The benefits are understood but not necessarily trusted. So governments and investors may understand that decentralized energy systems can support energy goals, but they often have concerns about the reliability, scalability, and long-term viability of these systems. Building trust requires transparency in communication and sharing data, case studies, and success stories. It involves engaging and actively educating stakeholders, and importantly, building dialogue and trust. Ultimately, the goal is to overcome this trust gap, which is essential to unlocking the full potential of decentralized energy by securing investment and policy support that is needed for large-scale deployment. Enabling sustainability is just the beginning. If you want to thrive in the larger energy network, you need to go beyond and actively contribute to its evolution and growth. Decentralized energy is inherently aligned with sustainability goals. However, just introducing these technologies isn't enough. To truly thrive in the next generation of energy systems, companies and communities must continuously innovate, which means developing new technologies, adopting advanced energy storage solutions, and creating platforms that allow consumers to become prosumers, those who both produce and consume electricity. So in short, thriving in the decentralized energy landscape means being proactive, so embracing new sustainability practices and fostering a culture of continuous learning and contributing to the broader industry advancement. The last quote, I think, stay ahead by understanding what the future looks like and figuring out how to stay there. So the energy landscape is evolving with new technologies, shifting consumer preferences, and changing regulatory frameworks. For companies, communities, and stakeholders, this means having a forward-thinking mindset, anticipating trends, and preparing for what's next. Staying ahead of the curve is absolutely critical, and governments also have to step up and be the real leaders, not followers to these changes. All right. So E to the power of N is here, and it's happening right now. The challenge is turning this into our decentralized energy reality. While I fear I may have potentially raised more questions than I've answered, the simple answer is that the energy value chain isn't really a chain at all. It's more so a set of extremely diverse stakeholders. If we are to ensure that decentralized energy not only meets current sustainability goals, but evolves to support the growing and changing needs of society, then there is considerable work to be done. It's already all out there, obtainable to be patched together, repurposed, and re-energized. The next generation is now. Thank you.